Let's do another custom painting DIY. And maybe you have seen these cool crystal effects paints on motorcycle tanks, on helmets or bikes, and I guess that's why you are here, because I show you how to mix the crystal effects paint at home with simple and cheap ingredients and how to achieve the look on a motorcycle helmet. So let's make it short. I show you which stuff you need to buy, where to buy it, how to mix it, and how to paint the effect on a helmet. Let's do it! But before we can start mixing and painting, we have to do a little school lesson so you can understand the physics and chemistry behind this effect. I try to make it as short, simple and easy for you to understand. We start with the ingredients, and the first ingredient we need is distilled water. And you can find all the stuff I use underneath the video in the video description, so you can find it easy and you can order it yourself to mix the crystal effect at home. And the reason why we use distilled water is because we don't want any minerals in the painting agent we use except the ones we put in to create the crystal effects effect. And the mineral we use is urea. And urea is a white crystal, white mineral. You can find it also in your pee, but don't be afraid, we don't use pee for the paint. We use artificial produced urea by a chemical company, and you can find the powder also in the video description if you have the need to order it yourself. And what we also need is a third ingredient, and that is a wetting agent. And I use ox bile as a wetting agent. You can use also different surfactants you can find in dish soap, but I like ox bile because it's also a natural product. And I made a little sketch of my backyard pond to show you the effect of the wetting agent and why we have to use it. That's a little sketch of my backyard pond, water inside, some fish, some of these little insects on top of the water striders, and they are like God, they can walk on water, and that's exactly what we have to avoid. Water has a natural surface tension, so these animals are able to walk on the surface of the water because they are lightweight and they don't sink. And the surface tension of the water creates also little water drops, it creates rain. And that's what we have to avoid, because imagine we spray the crystal effects paint on a helmet or whatever you like to paint and we don't use the wetting agent. We will create hundreds of thousands of little water drops and not a close surface of color, and that's what we don't want. And that's exactly the reason why we have to use the wetting agent to create a close surface of color of the helmet, on the helmet or on whatever you like to paint. And that's the reason why I have to add wetting agent to break the surface tension of the water. And if the surface tension breaks, these little animals sink inside the pond underwater and they will be eaten by the fish. That's what I don't like, because I like to eat fish, but I guess these fish are also able to eat the water striders on top of the surface, so it doesn't matter. But what matters is to use the wetting agent for the crystal effects paint to avoid these little water drops and to create a close surface of color on the helmet. That's the reason. Let's mix the crystal effects. And to create the crystal effects paint we need a formula, of course, and this formula is so simple even a blondie like me is able to understand what's going on. And for the formula we need the solubility of urea in water, and the solubility of urea is 1000 gram per liter at 25 degrees Celsius. So again, 1000 gram per liter at 25 degrees Celsius. And that makes it absolutely simple and easy, because the weight of water is also around about 1000 gram per liter. And yeah, check this. What we create is an absolutely simple and ridiculously easy ratio of 1:1. And that means when we need maybe, let's say, 100 milliliter of paint, we have to use 50 gram of urea and 50 milliliter of water, and so on and so on. For 200 milliliter of paint, we need 100 gram of urea and 100 milliliter of water. Yeah, school's out, let's have fun and let's paint. Whoa, 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 stop and sit down, we forgot the wetting agent. I have to add also the wetting agent and round about 2% of the oxbal in my formula, and that means I have to add 2 milliliter of oxbal for 100 milliliter of paint, or 4 milliliter of oxbal for 200 milliliter of paint, and so on and so on. Don't forget the wetting agent or you run in bad trouble. Now it's time for paint. Yeah, we have it, the crystal effects paint, but don't forget you have to prepare the things you like to paint. In my case, a helmet. I already prepared the helmet, and that's absolutely custom painting basics. What I did is I sanded the surface of the helmet with 800 grit wet sanding paper, applied a 1K primer, sanded the primer again, applied a coarse silver, a 2K high solid clear coat on top. I sanded the clear coat again with 800 grit. That's the result, and that's exactly what we need for the crystal effects. You can use also other colors, lighter colors, yellow, red, or whatever you like. I like the silver because maybe I apply also a candy, and for a candy color you need the silver base coat. That's the reason why I use the coarse silver, but choose whatever you like, but it has to be a light color. And what we have to do now is we have to apply the crystal effects, and the good news are you don't need fancy tools, you don't need a brush, you don't need a paint gun. What you can use are these sponges. That's what I use, that's more than enough, and that's so simple, even a child can do it. The only thing you have to do is soak the sponge in the color and wetten the parts you like to paint, and that's it. Have you seen these crystals growing on the helmet? That was crazy. It took an hour for the helmet to run dry and to grow these crystals. And at next I have to apply a black metallic spray paint. I use black metallic because the silver is also metallic, so it matches the color of the helmet. And yeah, let's change the paint booth and let's do it. Back from the paint booth, I applied a light coating of the black spray paint, and what's next is a light sanding. With warm water and a scuff pad, we have to remove all the urea crystals to create this effect. Yeah, that's it. I mounted the shield and decided I'll leave the helmet as it is because I like the flat finish and the metallic colors. Next week I'll do a real DIY and I show you how to achieve the crystal effect using only spray cans on a bike frame. So if you are a DIYer painting in your garden or your shed, that's the video for you. Stay tuned and see you in the next one.